few words about how you were when you started art therapy.
When I started art therapy, I came because I lost my mother. She took cancer, and I actually reached out for help to deal with the grief. Whenever the hospice offered art therapy, I was a bit frightened about doing art because I'm not an artist by no means. But I pushed myself out and got involved.
And at what point in therapy did you make this piece?
I made this piece at the beginning of the therapy, just when I started. So, as I said, that's where it showed, where expressed so much what was going on for me and how I felt looking at it now.
Okay, and what was it like making this piece in art therapy?
Whenever I came in first, the colours and the paper, because obviously at my age I was thinking, what am I going to draw? I haven't, like I said about art, I wasn't very arty, but as we sat down and we spoke in the group, everybody was colouring in and drawing, and it felt, it emotionally helped me and physically and able to open up. So it's not a work of art, but it's how I felt at that time.
So could you say something about this first piece that we're looking at?
Well, the first piece that I done, I was just lifting colours and just drawn. It wasn't any specific piece of art. It was just how I felt. And I think looking at it back, it was my first piece, and looking how dark it was, and how it seemed to be how unmanageable that I was feeling life, at present, dealing with the grief.
So what can you tell me about making this second piece?
The second piece, what I'm looking at is, I felt very like, with the loss of my mother, I felt like, the child that lost her mother. What stood out for me the most was, that wee girl who was sad, very dark on one side, and my mother used to draw wee cats, and I just drew a wee cat. I'm laughing at how childlike it is, but that's the child within me. That's what I felt. One part of it's very dark with sadness, and at the time when I drew this piece, I sort of done it in two pieces, where the other side was, the happy child with the sun out and the brightness, and that's where I wanted to get in my grief. But at that present time, I was able to draw that out, and that's what I see.
Okay, and at what point in the art therapy did you make this piece?
I would say on the third session I made this piece.
And what was it like for you making that piece?
When I started off colouring in like that, it's as I say, it's that childlike what you start drawing, but it made me feel, it's the sadness of it, the loss, the emotion that came out within it, for me. And I think actually during that session of the art, I was crying a lot, very sad. And the loss came out a lot within the group, and within, just talking to the other ladies.
And what would you say, when we look at those two pieces together, what would you say changed for you between the two times of making those bits of art?
What changed for me was, I think I expressed myself a bit more. The darker colours came away, and I was sort of doing a bit more brighter. Yes, on one side it was dark, and I felt like that child, in the darkness, but in that stage of the therapy, I could see that I'd half that, and I wanted to get into that brighter part of my life where I was happy, and even though I'd lost my mother, this is where I want to be. And I think through the drawing and the art, and through the sessions, it helped me to be able to sit down and do that, and that stood out to me.
Okay, thank you. So could you say a few words about how you are now?
I'm feeling a bit better now. I'm feeling a bit more managing my grief, from being at the art therapy. I'm not isolating myself as much. I'm really making an appointment with my grief, and looking at, even I've a picture of my mother that I was able to take out, and have that sitting in a room that I can look at, where before I wasn't able to do that.
Okay, so what is it about art therapy that made those changes happen?
I think it's just working with colours and drawing, so it does bring that sort of child, child. Like as I said, art therapy I thought would be more. You'd need to be more professional at doing art, but that was the difference in it. You were able to sit and draw, and nobody was judging how you drew or how you wrote or anything. And I think it brought a lot more out in the therapy in the group from drawing and speaking to other people that are grieving as well.
Okay. Okay. So, have you had any other sort of therapy?
Yes, I've had therapy before. I've had one-to-one counselling before for different things that happened in my life. Now it wasn't grief.
Okay.
So I feel that the art therapy was different for my grieving, and how I felt.
Okay. And is there anything else that you would like to mention?
Well, I would like to mention that it did for anybody who it to help anybody else that's gone through what I've been through, having that that big loss in my life, that it has really helped me, and to meet other people that are grieving because they know how you're feeling as well. And so that's been a big help. And how we've connected with each other, and we're going to keep that up as well.
Okay, so the group element was a very important part of this for you then.
Yeah.
Okay.